So in this particular video today, I'm going to talk about how you're going to be able to double your lead closing rates for under $1 on the leads you have coming in right now from, whether it's newspaper ads, TV ads, or radio ads, doesn't matter what it is. Those leads that you have coming in, whatever you're paying for them right now, maybe nothing, I'm going to, with the same exact leads, doing nothing at all to change whatever you're doing to bring them in, I'm going to help you double the close rates on them. And literally, and there's no catch there, this is not clickbait, for $1, you're going to be able to double the close rates on the leads that you have coming in. So anyway, stay tuned to this video. We'll cover my personal system on how to double your lead closing rate so you can bring up the ROI of that maybe paid search campaign that you have up to an acceptable level, or just get twice as much money from it. Either or. Will help either of those different situations and circumstances. But I'm going to tell you how I personally run ads, and which is the system is, and we have ads that we're running at a person after they're a lead that gets them to close at a higher rate. And you may be asking, Corey, why would I spend money advertising to somebody who already is a lead? I've already talked to them. And the answer to that is because you can double your lead closing rates by doing that, and it only costs $1 to advertise to them. So anyway, I'm going to tell you how I actually do that, the type of ads that you need for that. It's easy. Anybody can do it. Doesn't matter if you're selling products or services, B2B, B2C, it's all the same. If you talk to your prospects before you sell anything that what you sell, i.e. you generate leads, and even if it's offline, if you do it through a website, it all can be doubled through this method I'm about to share with you here today. So anyway, on my first thing on my agenda here, in this particular video to cover this and how you can do this for yourself, spend $1 on ads to double your lead closing rates, is to first talk about why leads don't buy. Have you ever really sat down and think about why somebody doesn't buy from you? And I'm not talking about, a person may not have been price qualified and therefore they didn't buy, or they didn't have any money or whatever. Not talking about that. I'm talking about assuming that somebody's price qualified, they have money, all that stuff. What causes one person to buy where you said the exact same things to them versus another person? Other than that's just who they are. Fundamentally, people kind of function similarly. That's why psychology is its own thing. And you would be surprised how it comes down to a lot of times, enough to where you can double your lead close rates, of course, where you can, how people just merely feel about making the purchase matter to your, making a campaign work or breaking it, of course. And, in this video, the ads that we're running is going to be changing how people feel. So it kind of sounds kind of woo-woo or wonky or whatever. I can assure you it's not. And half of good advertising is just psychology. And so you can use, it's not manipulative, it's just giving the user, as you will see here, what they want so that they ultimately know who to choose. You're just making it easy for them to do what they already wanted to do anyway. And or just also solve their problem, which they sometimes wouldn't have if you didn't do these extra things for them. So don't look at it as manipulative. It's just how the world works. But how do they actually? Why do leads not buy? So there's a few different reasons other than I'm going to stay away from the stuff like the not price qualified stuff like that. Assuming they're qualified to buy. That all the normal stuff is already checked off. The people are nervous when they don't know you. So you should put yourself in the prospect's shoes. You're going online, let's say, and this is how you're generating your leads, and they're looking around, they've done some research, whatever, they contacted a few companies, they don't know you from Adam. How do you expect them to choose you from somebody else, truly? And so with that, you don't get chosen just out of obscurity, Not that they don't know you, not that they haven't even talked to you, but they also talked and got the same feeling from the other 5 guys they talked to or companies that they talked to, and you didn't really stand out. And so, as they say, if you want everybody else's results, you do what everybody else is doing. If you want to do fantastic with, running ads and selling, then you need to, if you just go a little bit further is all it takes, really, because most people don't go very far, and that's what this is about. But they don't know you, and as a side note here, you want to be in position so that if they contact you, they have heard of you before, and that can be done very easily by finding out the main questions people ask before they buy and they research online. Create, if somebody wants to know how to paint their pool, you create the best guide ever on the need to knows on how to paint your pool. Everything you could possibly want to know is covered in this article by 10-year veteran pool painter, whatever. And then they read the article. That article doesn't make the sale. That article sets the scene so that later on when they go search for your company actively, you're the one they choose literally 3 times more often they would have, because out of the ads they see, they're now clicking on yours at like double the rate. And then on top of that, they're closing almost again at the double the rate, because people go on feeling, so they're not rational. If they're going to trust somebody, they're going to trust who they're familiar with. That's the whole key to it. And how do you become familiar? Well, you build a relationship with them early, but you also can do that through repetition artificially. Specifically, even after you've talked to them, which this whole PPC strategy that I'm going to go through with you is about. It's about marketing to people and paying money to market to someone after they're already a lead. Even though you haven't paid money for that before, you can become familiar, and therefore that's how you're going to double your lead closing rates and with the system. So, but anyway, so they're generally nervous, and sometimes people don't even buy because they aren't sure whether or not they are capable of making a good decision. There's too many options. There's an interesting case study where they had tried to sell jam in a store, and they had 3 options there, and then they split tested that with 100 options, and the person who had 100 options bought less because they were confused. But in a lot of cases as well, what people do, there's a famous copywriter named Dan Kennedy who used to say, in the copywriting, you always have to sell to the person as if they have been burned before many times, and they want to be sure, they're afraid, and you got to make sure they feel comfortable that they're not going to get burned as well. And compared it to like Charlie Brown when he goes to kick the football. He's so scared, he wants to buy, but he's still apprehensive. Your job is to, you can't muffle all of it, but muffle enough of the apprehension so that you just, take care of get the most of the rest of the way there. That's all they're asking for, really. Going back to what I said before, this is what people want, so why not go ahead and give it to them? But on top of that, in terms of why they don't buy, people go back to Google to look around. So some people realize it, some people don't. If you haven't thought about it already or knew about it, even if they go to fill out your form or call, they've probably called 3, 4, 5 other people, sometimes more. And it isn't just about lowest price. They want to know more. But then the act of talking to 5 different people who now probably said 5 grossly different things confused them even more. And they may not even buy, whereas you can get more people to actually buy something from your market by following up with them just a little bit more after they've been spoken to through this mechanism I'm going to share. But, more of them will go through you as well, additionally, because you became and deliberately had a system to make yourself more familiar than everybody else in the market. That'll work on autopilot once you get it set up. The other reason people don't buy is because they procrastinate. They don't have the money, whatever. They're waiting to get paid. Even if everybody spends more than they have, and so therefore, unless you're selling to elite people, you'll see your sales go up higher in the first of the month than there is the 30th, and that you can see that in your stats. And ultimately, it doesn't matter really what you're selling. I find it to be the case, and so you always have to assume your ads are working fine towards the end of the month. It's just you're not getting the return from it until they get paid, or later on. So sometimes it can take 90 days to get a return truly, to see what the return truly on something you're selling of a few $100s through a website is, because you're building a sales funnel. People click on the ad and then they think on it for a long time. But that time that you have between the time people actually, which is normally called the sales cycle window, from the time they click to the time they actually normally make a decision, you're going to be actively selling more through your automated system of ads, so that you're going to take full advantage of that open window. And so you end up as a default choice for that person a good portion of the time, and basically double your close rates on your leads that you have coming in. So anyway, and if you ever want to know how long people are procrastinating, that stat about how long it takes not only a person to generate it, to become where they become a lead till they buy, that stat can be found in Google Analytics. Even if you sell offline, I would recommend reviewing those stats, and there's a way to pull those into your accounts where you can see how long it is from the time that they first witness you to the time they buy. But the important thing is you get some sort of information, as hopefully through which is called the attribution reports in Google Analytics. You also have that in Google Ads. You can Google that, find out what's the typical longest time that people wait from the time that they click till they buy. In terms of, or not click till they buy, but they either call or fill out the form, i.e. become a lead till they buy. And so that you know how long you have and should be marketing to people before they ultimately, worst case, wait to buy, so that you have your leads doubled. And it's different for people that have a higher, the higher the cost of the purchase, bigger the commitment, the longer people usually wait. That's pretty much directly correlated with one another there. Well, what you're doing is you're going to have ads show up for a person, and you can do this through Google Analytics and Google Ads. If you already have a website, you can set up an audience for a person. It's called a custom remarketing audience that says, I want to have ads show up for a person after they filled out the form or called, and I want it to stop showing up when they've made a purchase. That last part isn't as important as the first part, and if you sell offline, like let's say you have a furniture store, as long as you can get the person's email address, you can take that email address, you could put it into an AdRoll account or LinkedIn or Facebook, and if it works on one, usually all of them work, so you'll want to do them all. You can then specify there that you want an ad to show up for a person there for a certain period of time, because you can run ads for whatever period of time you want, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, and do the same thing. Bringing the offline prospects online, because everybody still goes online during that period of time that they're deciding or procrastinating, if you will. And so either way, you're getting in front of that buyer, and you're going to give them several messages that are very controlled, that are going to go through and explain not only why you're better, but why you should be trusted, and why they should basically stop procrastinating as well. And this is a system that I use at one time or another, depending on where we're at in the campaign setup for a client, that we're always doing, because it's always worth their time and always will double your leads. We also do it for our own firm. But what that process is here is and you can do this, you set up a banner ad, and you do the 7 most common sizes of banner ads so that you can show up, and so that if a lead that you have only goes to a couple websites, you can be assured your ad will always be able to get in front of them. So a high penetration rate. You have a banner ad, and you also have a responsive text ad as well, which you can Google that. I won't get into on this particular video what that is. But you have it right away, immediately after they become a lead. Literally 5 minutes later, potentially if they're online, of course, they see an ad, a testimonial or a review from a past customer that had the kind of problem they had, with their real name and a headshot and a link to their social media, making it as real as possible, and talk specifically about the problem you fixed if you can have it. And so the biggest thing is that they don't trust you, and they don't know who to trust. This is always the best way to do it, at least to start off the process, and what I usually use and found works the best for this system. The second ad that they'll see, maybe it's an hour later, maybe it's a day later. Normally, overall, you can set the frequency of how many times a lead can see an ad, which I'll show an ad about 100 times to a prospect, spaced out over that whole time that they're just normally procrastinating, i.e. deciding for their sales cycle window. And then they'll be spaced out ads over time. A bunch of them they won't even notice or see. So really it's not too much. It's just test and improvement. If you want to double your lead close rates, you should go for 100 frequency. You could go for more. It's just a general rule of thumb. But you'll see another review from another prospect that goes over a different use case that they may have or more identify with than the other. And if you have a bunch of different use cases for the same solutions that you offer, I recommend more than one or two reviews. But 2 reviews at minimum. Later on, then they see a picture of an install or a before and after of what you're offering, a visuals where if they click on that ad, then they can go to a whole web page on your site with all the rest of your before and afters on it. And if you sell cabinetry, well, it's all the before and afters of your installs, and you show that physically on the ad, so you can show what they get if they click, and then when they get there, it's exactly that, but it's the expanded version. On those reviews, by the way, I would send it similarly to a whole bank of reviews. You could probably double your lead close rates in your market by not having custom pages to send everybody to, but to for sure have it and potentially do more than double, I recommend a custom page to take people to. Spend the extra little time for that. The user loves it. It's really helping them out. And so everybody wins. Why not do that? So they see the pictures of installs or before and afters. Then they also see an ad of like a bullet point list of the things that your product does better and why it's better than the competition. It lasts longer. It is more powerful, whatever it is. And you send people to a blog post that talks specifically on those individual selling points that make it unique. And then later on, they see another ad, which this is more than one ad that will be for draining objections. And what that is I got an arrow pointing down here. You talk to your sales department. You ask the salespeople, what are the most common questions that people have that you have to answer in order to make the sale? And you answer each one of those questions in an individual ad, which then also links to individual blog posts with each answer on it. And if you can't do that, you can audit, obviously, your phone logs, but you also can, if you don't have that, you're kind of a newer startup, you can go to online review sites and see what people are saying about the competitions that they're arguing about or asking questions about from other users. If you can get an industry review site and go into the comment section, that is the absolute best place, because you can ask, people will ask stuff like for a mattress company, we did that. And they asked, is this good for side sleeping, this particular mattress? And so one thing that we did, this literally did here, is had an ad that said, is this mattress good for side sleeping? It's the best for side sleeping. And then it goes to a blog post that talks about side sleeping. And so you could do upwards of 10 ads there, depending if you have many questions you think you need to deal with. But if 5 different ads for this would be about sufficient for 90% of people out there. So ultimately, just looking at this whole thing, what they have here is they have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 more ads, maybe 9 different ads. What this is actually going to do and have an effect on people is they're going to say, holy crap, this company looks awesome. Nobody's doing anything close to this much to make sure that they know why their product is different and why that I should need it and why and all that. So the obscurity is gone. The trust is there now. The wanting to, likability, the wanting to give back with the purchase, because you've spent so much time to alleviate the anxiety that they have about it being a novice user and not wanting to make a mistake, like I said, which is there for anybody, because everybody's been screwed over before by other salespeople and not looking like the rest of the typical salespeople out there, and selling through educating more and making it spoon-feeding the prospect as to how to make the best choice the easiest way possible. But on top of that, the last thing I'll do to top it all off is you make a sale ad for every month of the year. And so if in December they've went through this selling process, they're going to see an ad that says Christmas sale, we're offering $50 off any order. And what that actually does is, now that that person's convinced, and basically the only thing holding them back, if they are actually going to still buy, and you can't get everybody to buy, sometimes people will never buy from anybody, that they're probably waiting to get paid, which is one of the big things left that you have to deal with, or they were going to buy, but they were procrastinating still for whatever reason, and that procrastination is a killer. And part of what this process does is kill the procrastination, so the user doesn't wait any longer and they just go ahead and buy. A person, I can tell you right off the bat, they may have the best intentions to buy, but the more days you give them to buy, the less likely they are to buy. They cool off as a buyer, and then you're less likely to get them. But if you have an ad there that says $50 off this month only for Christmas, they're thinking, I'm reading the news, but if I don't click on this ad and get out my credit card right now, I'm not going to get the $50 off. And I know I wanted to buy this, so therefore I'm going to do this. And then therefore you win, because they are not going to forget later on. At least, goes into part of what gets you double the close rates. But that's the kind of mechanism you have. And of course you can run that campaign, that ad just for December. And January, guess what? You have an offer for January. And then February, and then once you did it for the whole year, every year it just runs on autopilot, as is the rest of these ads. You program it so that you find out your sales cycle window. The ads run in conjunction like this, up to 100 times automatically for every lead that you have, spaced out over 8 weeks, which is your typical sales cycle window. And then they see a sale ad that's relevant to the time window you're in after that, and it just goes to work automatically for you. I've got close to 20 ads in our sequence for GuaranteedPPC.com. We have videos, we have banner ads, which, by the way, if you can do video, more power to you. Some people like video more. It also adds another element of trust. If you want to really get extra credit on this thing, also do video. But anyway, that kind of covers the whole system of what you're going to be able to do and need to do to double your lead closing rates, however you're getting your leads right now, how to double the close rates from them. And for $1 in PPC ads, specifically running this, having your ads run 100 times per person, it literally only costs a penny, roughly speaking, to have an ad show up for one lead one time. So therefore, that's where you get the exact $1 figure I gave you in the title of the video. So therefore, you know why I can claim it's not it's bait, in other words. So this will actually work, cost you $1 to market to somebody you've already paid so much money to get, and now they're closing at 1 to 5, but you spend $1 and they're like, what do you know? You close this person. You can go from like a 1 in 5 close rate to 2 to 5 close rate with this, and therefore per customer you're really spending about $5 more to get that extra customer. Which is one way to look at it. Otherwise, you're just looking at double the close rates and having to spend $1 to get the sale from each person. But because you only get every fourth one, technically it's 4 if you want to be more specific. But anyway, you get my point. If you like this video, I have a lot of other videos just like it. I come out with new PPC money-making strategies all the time on this channel. I'd appreciate if you just subscribe. And apart from that, if you would like more step-by-step instructions on how to set up PPC campaigns that work and make money, and based upon my 15 years of experience doing PPC and the campaigns that we run for our clients, which have to guarantee to work for the clients, and how I do them for myself, in other words there, you can go to our blog, and then there are step-by-step instructions how to do PPC that way as well. And if you have any questions about this strategy, anything I left out, you can leave a comment down below. If you try this out for yourself to double your close rate on your leads, then you can, at any time also, just leave me a comment. I'll try to help you out as best as I can with it, and I will get back to you for sure if you do leave a comment. So I appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed the video.